Alright, beautiful snowy day again, and I'm out here working on our irrigation system. I thought I'd give you a little bit on our hydroponic greenhouse. I'm out here, I'll show you I got all the buckets laid out, I got the hoses pulled back out, now we're getting the irrigation going. I've got the heaters going, I gotta clean the oil heater out here in a little bit, but I was gonna work on this for a little bit and get all the irrigation put back together. I already started. I had all of our unions taken apart to drain the water out. I had it all taken apart so we didn't have any water at all sitting in it. I'm gonna take the filter housing off because with the filter on it, it slowed the irrigation or the water down enough the irrigation didn't work right. And then we got the water come in with the check valve. I should point it where I'm looking. Got the check valve, and we've got several valves to dictate the flow, and these are our big fertilizer injectors. We've got two of them. They're completely tore apart. We've got these two barrels, which is our A and B tank with different fertilizers, because certain fertilizers, when you mix them together, kind of make concrete in the bottom, and we don't want that. So what it does is the water flow makes these injectors work, which pulls the fertilizer out of the barrel and up and mixes it with the water and puts it in our mix tank. We have the little pump that runs the irrigation. When the valve turns on, the computer turns the valve on every half hour for, depending on how old the tomatoes are, either for like 2 minutes or a minute and a half to 3 minutes, depending how big they are and how hot it is. So when it turns that on, the pump kicks on because it's on a pressure switch. So then it sucks it out and sends it down the pipe through a filter, which isn't on yet, out to our supply lines with our emitters. Let me walk over here to one that's easier to look at. With our emitters on here, which run a ½ gallon per minute, through the hose, through the little spike, we stick it in the bucket of perlite where our plants will come out, and that fertilizes the water, or the bucket, and gives it water. The overflow in these Dutch buckets is a little 2 elbows, so when it gets over so far, it siphons the water out, dumps it into the gray pipe, which runs to the end, which runs to a bucket in the middle, which has a sump pump in it, which is that pipe buried in the ground, takes it back to our tank to recycle it. We have a float in here, and the tank needs washed yet, so it's still kind of algae-y from last year. We've got a float set up on a sump pump. You can hear it click, telling it to turn on. We've got the sump pump set up, or the sump pump valve set up upside down with a float from a toilet, which turns our irrigation on and off to turn the water on. So it sits here, it's completely automated with the computer. We really don't have to mess with it. We do have to check our EC on a regular basis in our barrel just to make sure we're getting the right nutrients. And then we do empty this every so often and clean it and fill it with new water, because the plants will only take what they need out. So we could get our fertilizer ratio off in the barrel eventually. So we like to do that every 3 to 4 weeks. We'll empty this barrel out and clean it out and put all new fresh everything in. That way it doesn't mess up the plants. But that's kind of a quick overview. And we do have a shut off on each valve, so if we in each row, so we can shut one row off or all of the rows but one, depending on what we're doing. This also runs our cucumbers, which will be against that wall. But we also have a pepper set up with its own barrel, because it takes a little bit different fertilizer recipe. And we run just water into it, and we just mix a barrel and recycle it that way, and when it gets low we put the new in, and that way we don't have to worry about it being off, because it doesn't take quite as much because we don't have quite as many of them. And we do cheat, we did not recycle the cucumber water, so it doesn't cross-contaminate into here. It does just drain to the outside. So we can turn any of the rows on and off we want, run individual rows or run them all together, anything like that. So just thought I would do a quick irrigation video of how we got our Dutch bucket set up. Hopefully here in the next couple days we'll be planting tomatoes. So I gotta get this irrigation checked out, make sure everything's gonna work and nothing leaks. Because it is a couple different connections. It's kind of dark. It's kind of bright out here even though it's not sunny out, but it's still bright. But that kind of gives you an overview. And if you're wondering, there's our wet wall. That's how we kind of keep it cool. This makes it like a swamp cooler. Here's our cardboard pads that we have that runs the water on. And this barrel, and everything just runs from a frost-free hydrant. That way we can shut it off. We can shut everything off. And we don't have to worry about stuff freezing. Because we can just shut the water off. And then we can, that barrel was for our wet wall. If you saw the extra barrel, that way you know what it's for. I just got to get some stuff cleaned up and ready to go and get some water running and check the injectors out and make sure it's all going to go and all of that fun stuff. But always something to do here. And of course, just so you guys know, it is snowing again. But my wonderful luck. So you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you all later. Of course, if you got any comments, leave them in there. I'll answer them. Questions, comments. Talk to you guys later.